My name's Dylan Royce. I just left law enforcement. I did 10 years in Delaware County, PA. Now I teach police combatives for effective fitness combatives. I've been doing that for the last few years. Taking on more work with them now. I teach sport jiu-jitsu at a couple different gyms, and then I work in the private sector right now. So I'm not sure if I'm going to stay doing all that or get back into local law enforcement, or I have some federal tests coming up too. So either way, I stay very active in this field and profession. And even if like you don't, is everybody here in law enforcement? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Left, but
What's that?
recently left law enforcement.
Congratulations. But we were kind of having this conversation downstairs earlier, where even if like a lot of your jiu-jitsu is centered on jiu-jitsu for law enforcement and you don't do a lot of competition stuff, competition jiu-jitsu is still going to help you out immensely with the job. Okay, the reason being because like obviously you'll know what moves and positions to omit from what you would use on the job. But when you're doing competition jiu-jitsu or training with somebody at the gym, you're dealing with somebody that's not only trying to stop what you're doing, but they know what you're trying to do. They're also well trained and they're trying to do their own stuff, right? When we're dealing with most people on the street, like they're either, even when they're not compliant, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're combative, but like a lot of times they're not well trained. So they're either combative, but they're sloppy and they're just using strength or whatever, or aggression, or they're not using anything combative at all. They're just trying to resist. And then it's like, great, like might take us a little bit longer, might be a little bit harder, but like now we don't even have to worry about somebody trying to pass our guard and choke us out. Like, it might take us a little bit longer. So all this stuff will be useful for you guys either way. But again, if you have specific things you want to focus on or ask about, let me know. No-gi seated guard's a little bit easier to deal with just because like I don't have to worry about it. It's easier for me as the top player to kind of negate his grips and stuff. I'm more so concerned with, if it's no-gi, him making like leg entries. But it's very easy for us on top to avoid like him making grips. Gi, the difficulty here is like if I leave my hand out for too long and he grabs my sleeve, like unless I'm super breaking this grip, it's going to give him an opportunity to pull into a better guard, like whether it's throwing a lasso over, right? And now I have to deal with like clearing the lasso guard, right? Or if he pulls me into anything else. So trying to pass here, we're usually just trying to negate the grips. So I might be hand fighting or whatever, but ideally I'm looking for, personally, I like to grab same side collar, okay? And that's usually not a hard grip to make, okay? There's so much fabric there that even if he's hand fighting or whatever and I have to negate a bit, boom, like I'm able to get this grip. If I get this grip, now I don't really care about him making his own grip, because I can usually turn my knuckles down and start to put a lot of like weight and pressure toward his collarbone here. If I leave my grip just like this, yeah, I'm basically inviting him to make like his own grip. And then when he pulls in, like we're attached to each other, it's probably gonna be hard for me to avoid getting put into a decent guard. So when I make that grip, I like to kind of turn my knuckles down and almost like I'm like punching and leaning away, okay? And I'm cutting a little bit of an angle to do that, all right? So if I make that grip, I don't even care if I don't get another grip after that. This is usually like pretty sufficient for being able to kind of bully him into a less desirable guard pull in his part. Here, not so much. He's going to make a counter grip, he's going to make a collar grip, he's going to get a good pull off of here. Okay? So if that happens, we'll address that. Now is where I want to make a pant grip, usually same side. Okay? So I might just reach out, grab the cuff of the pant here. That way, if he starts trying to pull back into a guard, it's easy for me to cut an angle toward that side. And you can do that preemptively too if you want. Like if you don't want to go toward here, you can make this grip and this one right away. And now it's very easy to keep weight in this leg, keep weight on the collar, and start to work both sides. If I work toward this side, I usually like to try to cross step when I do it. That way I don't have to circle like out. If I circle out, he's going to move his leg out, and now we're trying to get into a back and forth battle. So I'm going to keep weight down in that leg, weight down the collar, and I'm going to kind of cross step. Okay? That way when he goes to circle with me, he's running into my ankle, my shin. And I'm able to kind of guide him down without him getting a good pull. If I'm looking to make that cross step and he's ahead of me, he's opening that leg up. Now we're gonna go back door. See that? And I'm kind of leaning again with that collar grip, so that when I start to go back door here, yeah, he's got to work hard for it. And even if he gets that leg open, it's not that great of a position. I'm still able to kind of get over into a knee cut of sorts. So maybe I don't pass right away, but I don't give him a good pull. I would prefer step over. But when you step over, it's not up here. Okay, keep the leg here. I'm getting over his hook, but now it's super easy for him to bump me, catch this leg, and now you have other problems, right? So when you step over, same thing with that side foot. It's just here. This is all I need. If he goes to bump me now with that leg, it's not going to work in time for us to start getting into better positions, okay? So I know it's like a little long-winded with that De La Riva position, but honestly, there's so many little nuances and things you can do there. It's just, first we want to deconstruct this guard. Whatever you do after that is like your choice. Step over the leg, pull it and shelf it. Shin cut over the De La Riva hook. I'll show you another one after this too. But importantly, the way we're deconstructing it kind of remains the same every time. Right? We get that good base, break the collar grip, and that's just strong, weak correlation with each of his legs. Once he gives us the choice of which one he's going to make weak and we address it, then we deal with the other one and we just kind of keep building on it. Okay? And you guys will see that eventually it'll put you in like a position to pass from that you're going to be more familiar with. It's going to put you into a knee cut, where it's going to put you in a position where you're kind of dropping into a half guard or a chest-to-chest position. And then from there, you're like, oh, I know what to do from here. So you kind of want to like go with the shin cut, almost create a little bit of space, but then you're going to be able to come back in. So what I mean by that is once we've addressed that collar and we're here, and we pop this up, okay, even if he's like turning this in a bit, I just feel like to try to get in and like boy my way in is going to be hard. Okay, but when I rotate this leg out, and all we're doing is just pointing our toes like this way, so that there's no, the range of motion for him to get a De La Riva hook is kind of shitty. When we shin cut out, we're kind of going over, and we're really not stopping here, because we're just going to put ourselves in a knee shield. We're shin cutting over, and we're kind of going like out to here. Okay, because now, even though he can start recovering, as he does, it's going to give us some more options. So it winds up happening kind of quick, like real speed. We'd be here. He makes that collar grip, right? I'm braking, I'm toggling, and I'm out here. So now, like, I don't care what he does to try to recover. If I really want this side, I can keep putting some blocks in front of his legs to prevent his recovery, or I can kind of play around with it, let him start to recover, and then go hard to the other side, kind of like we did from that seated guard position we started from. Good. So let's just move into like just the knee cut first, before any of this. Yeah. Just because it's like the more likely thing that's going to happen until it's his hips. Yeah, so you can step it up a little bit closer to his shoulder line. Look, I want you to like, see how you're still a little flat? Think about going like this. Yeah, it'll feel awkward, but like it feels like, why would I ever step past like that? But the thing is, you're kind of pinching your knees, so realistically, you're blocking different space underneath of you that he would normally want to access. The more your foot is flat, your knee is opened up, there's a big gap under you that he can exploit. When you step beside your foot down, you pinch your knee to the ground, you're just removing space that he needs to operate in. You know what I mean?
Like this. My brain is solid, visualize it.
Yeah, and it's unorthodox, right? Because we're so used to dealing with the knee shield by kind of like, clubbing over it, or like we're just blasting through it, or feeding these different collar grips, and those are still all applicable too. But you're also going into like the strength of the position. It's driving into the shield, so it's like, imagine when when you're doing a bench press, like the weight's centered directly over you, you can hold up a lot more. The weight starts going up here and the side, you're like, you know what I mean? It's gonna be dicey. So that's all we're doing to his knee shield. We're starting to go around it. We're pinning that shoulder and kind of going like up over it, right? So we're maximizing all those angles we have to work with. Instead of just feeling like we're in the knee cut, we got to see the knee cut through. So the knee cut's like a stage, you know? So we're using a little bit more like mobility and creativity here and just trying to push us through. No longer is the knee shield like, or the knee cut just like a dominant, like just drive through and you're going to get your pass. Like most people, if you're just driving through like that, they're going to be able to structure their guard in a way where they carry their weight. They're able to start, you know, recovering their bottom leg, their frames like that. But when we do this, we're just kind of going like around it. We're bypassing it. We're not trying to drive into it. We're letting him keep it where it is. And we're just moving our body around it. And that's not to say that we can't go back and do those more traditional ones. Like sometimes what I like to do, if I want to incorporate a little bit more pressure passing, is if I start in this position here when he scoops and I'm pinching and thumb posting and I'm starting to blade here, if I feel like he gives like a really good like push extension on me from here and try to force me out, yeah, look, hey, now I don't try to reclaim it. I'm kind of like, okay, that ship has sailed. I lost the position a bit, but he had to compensate to get me off it, right? He really had to open up the space that he was protecting prior to this. So as I feel that, and I'm making this shift, look, I'm just going to start bringing myself down and kind of sinking in here. Now we end up in this position where we've beaten the knee shield because we kind of went back. You know, we took a step back. We took advantage of the fact that he was pushing away, and that gave us the opportunity to, you know, sprawl over top of it. Boy, so I always want to make first, you know, as best I can, try to make first contact from here. Okay? If I can't, he makes first contact, and I'm going to try to pull in a way where whatever grip he has won't affect me from doing so. But if I want to pull from here, I'm usually just, I want to reach whatever I can. I can pull with any number of things. Sleeve, belt, collar. My pull might be slightly different, but I don't want to only be able to pull with a collar. I only be able to pull with a sleeve. Okay? So let's start from the sleeve here. Most people are going to be leading more with their upper body in their hands like this. So a lot of times the sleeve will be accessible, right? The tough part is it's like we were talking about making the pant grip. You know, you're going to make a sleeve grip from here, and sometimes like like he circles out, or I get a grip on material, and as I'm starting to rotate, you know. So I actually like to go like make a nogi grip first a lot of times. Okay, just to get a hold of something. I don't want to have to feel like I have to make that cuff grip because that's, you know, takes a little bit of time. So I'll usually either be leading thumb down here or like hand up, and maybe just making a nogi. Right? Much harder to break, and now 5 minutes of time to get to sleep. Okay? Or if we don't want to use two hands like that, you can go thumb down and then just kind of rotate and snag it slowly. Okay, so just a little like trick to think about. If you feel like every time you're playing here, you're trying to make sleeve grips and you're like, God, I can't fucking grip anything, right? Try to nogi grip first. Okay? Here and then slide to sleeve. Or here and then make your sleeve. Okay? It's just, you know, a lot harder for him to stop nogi grip. Once we get the sleeve grip here though, okay? Single side sleeve, right? We don't have both sleeves, we don't have a collar yet. The easiest way is to just start to pull back, knees to the chest, and I'm gonna throw lasso over. Now it doesn't have to be like an actual, I don't have to get this deep like that. I just wanna place the side of my foot like right around his like right where like his humerus kind of meets like his delt here, right? There's like a little curvature there that I feel like my foot can kind of seed into. And now I'm pulling the sleeve tight, but I don't want to be out here because he can rotate his hand out pretty easily. So when we pull back with that grip, it's chambering very, like my elbow's chambering very deep here, and I'm making my leg heavy. So the problem I see here is guys will put the foot like this, and they'll press with the foot, and it lifts your hips up a bit. And now it's easy for him to just kind of like, yeah, like exactly like this, or even just like go get your palm like under this foot here. Yeah, like just pop it. Yeah, exactly. You know. So we want this to feel like dead weight. So when I sling this over, now try to do that, right? Okay, and that's gonna buy me some time to start like pummeling my foot. So all we're doing from there is like when we make that connection, we're kind of dropping our hip. So my hip flexor is the only thing that's like activated right now. I'm not pressing down my foot. I'm not kicking here. I'm just kind of dead weight, like pulling him in. All right, because usually this gets him close enough because it feels like he's carrying like an anchor now. Here, this isn't very like taxing on him. You know, and I have to go further to make a grip now. But when I go dead weight, pull him in, look, I can make a collar grip, place my other foot on the shoulder, and now we're in a pretty good collar sleeve position. You know, we could stay in the collar sleeve, or we could go collar sleeve with the foot and the hip. Go De La Evo if we want. So we're able to go from like having nothing to just structuring a pretty solid, complete guard with one grip. We went lasso, he starts passing this way, and we're going here, but he's able to start pinning. So now his shoulder pressure is such that like this is a little dicey for me, right? Okay, so don't at this point, like he's got really good pressure and like body position to keep this leg pinned. So even if I'm using that like knee assist, right, it's probably gonna be hard. He can kind of lock out his tricep here. Yeah, exactly. So if I keep fighting this and he keeps circling, I'm gonna be in yeah, water, right? So one thing when he go back to start that, yeah, right here. So he starts to pin. Okay, look, all we're gonna do, our lasso is gonna turn into a cross spider. We're only gonna play spider guard on the same side, right? Like putting a spider hook in, stretching in his arm. We're gonna do the same thing here. We're just gonna make because I want to make a bend in his arm. When he has his arm locked out like this and his knuckles are flared back, he can really drag that leg away and put a lot of pressure.